Hello all, a warm welcome to each one of you to the People Leaders Day Conference 2022 in Karachi. My name is Sriram Iyer. I'm the founder and CEO of HRTech.sg. It's a privilege and honor to meet each one of you virtually today, and I'm sure it's going to be an exhilarating experience for each one of you to be meeting up with HR thought leaders and practitioners all under one roof today. Thank you very much, Sajad and the Talent Accelerator team for inviting me to talk to this august audience. Over the next 30-35 minutes, I'm going to be talking to you about the impact of technology on HR function in 2022 and beyond. I'm going to be talking to you about the key market transformation drivers, the HR tech trends arising from it, the trending technology tools, the essential HR skills of the future, and the jobs of the future, and also a brief overview of the digital transformation roadmap for the HR function. Before we move to the presentation, here's a quick overview about myself. I have over 22 years of business and HR experience managing large and complex talent initiatives, cross-border talent initiatives, I would say. I'm an adjunct faculty with the National University of Singapore Business School, where I teach the HR technology module for the master's students. I'm an adjunct faculty with the Korn Ferry Academy, where we teach technology and analytics to mid-career switchers. I program lead the HR Technology Task Force for the Institute for Human Resource Professionals in Singapore. I've been based out of Singapore since 2012, and I've had the opportunity to work for global organizations such as NASDAQ-listed Cognizant Technology Solutions and the Singtel Group in Singapore. I'm a strong believer that continuous learning is a key ingredient for success. So between 2018 to 2021, I completed my executive MBA from NUS. I completed my IHRP SP certification, SHRM SCP certification, and also I'm a certified strengths coach as certified by Gallup. Now, who are we? We are a 4-year-old organization headquartered in Singapore. We are what we call as a super app for HR tech. We have done some thought leadership initiatives in the last 4 years, including creating the digital transformation playbook for the Institute for Human Resource Professionals in Singapore. This playbook essentially has been helping enterprise HR teams in their digital transformation journey. We've been working with a lot of global enterprises and HR tech product providers in providing tech solutions for their HR problems. The 2022 Gartner HR Priorities Survey clearly indicates the need for HR teams to focus on strategic aspects and not just on tactical and operational aspects. If you look at it, the top 3 priorities as per the list: building critical skills and competencies, OD and change management, building current and future leadership bench are all very, very key strategic aspects. Not just that, if you look at it very, very closely, technology is in the top 10 priorities of the CHRO. That's a great endorsement for the need for HR tech adoption by enterprise HR teams of all sizes. Now, let's look at what are the key market transformation drivers that are happening globally. These are macroeconomic aspects that are significantly impacting the HR function. Of the 8 transformation drivers, the number 1 is definitely remote hybrid workplace and workforce. Now, in fact, during the pandemic, McKinsey developed a way to quantify the proximity required in more than 800 occupations. They grouped these 800 occupations into 10 work arenas. So jobs in work arenas with very high level of physical proximity, like healthcare, personal care, food and beverages, retail, leisure and travel, where you got to work very closely with the customers on ground. Those jobs are expected to see strong and greater transformation. But it's not just going to be limited to those jobs. There will be triggering knock-on effects in other work arenas too. Business models will definitely get impacted. Now, another important aspect in the remote hybrid workplace and workforce aspect is that as HR professionals, we need to remind ourselves that some activities which can be done remotely, such as negotiations or onboarding of new joiners, providing sensitive feedback, brainstorming sessions, all of these, while it can be done remotely, if it's done best in an in-person format, can deliver good results. So as HR professionals, we need to be mindful of such aspects while planning hybrid work arrangements and not move everything completely remote. Various research surveys have clearly shown that employees prefer hybrid work arrangements. In fact, some of the surveys talk about 1 in 5 actually preferring to do a remote work permanently, if not more. My question to each one of you in the hall today is, are you all prepared for it? Many roles are actually rapidly evolving, like workplace scheduling, workplace safety, access management, and specifically, you need to be aware of workplace safety even in a remote scenario. There have been court cases that have been filed by employees against their employers for getting injured or hurt at home in a remote scenario. So these are complexities that are arising, and as HR professionals, we need to be aware that these could significantly impact our function. Number 2, there is a strong employee expectation of a consumer grade experience. While employees are working remotely, they're toggling between their personal applications like Spotify, Facebook on one hand, Netflix on one hand, and workplace applications like HRMS, performance management, employee communication tools on the other hand. Because they are seamlessly toggling between workplace applications and personal applications, it is important for us to ensure we provide a consumer grade experience even for the workplace applications. For example, if you are saying, hey Siri, set up an alarm in 5 minutes, why should the employees not say, hey Siri, set a leave request for me today, I'm on sick leave? The workplace applications really need to
not say, hey Siri, shut up, leave.
Yeah, sorry, that was my Siri. So clearly shows that your workplace applications need to have a consumer grade experience too. That's why integrator apps such as Zapier are gaining a lot of prominence today, because they are helping integrate various standalone applications to create a seamless experience. You might call it the great employee resignation, you might call it the great reshuffle or the great reset, whatever it is definitely real. So organizations need to adopt HR technology in a big way to deliver strong candidate and employee experience. To help stand out as an employer of choice, to stem attrition, increase retention, you need to adopt technology a lot more. Because huge funding is flowing into startups. In fact, 2021 and the first half of 2022, we have seen record amounts of money flowing into HR tech startups. So employees are quitting companies to become entrepreneurs. So organizations need to go the extra mile to create an entrepreneurial culture to effectively engage employees. Number 4, there is a strong focus on resilience and agility. What is resilience? What is agility? Simple definitions. Agility is your flexibility to stay ahead of the competition to surprise them. Whereas resilience is the ability to quickly recover when you are surprised. So it is important for every organization, for every HR team to be both agile and resilient. Instead of continuously focusing on relentless course correction, you need to, instead of just focusing on periodic performance reviews, you need to focus on continuous course correction. So it's not just enough to do performance reviews, but also take quick corrective action for that. Number 5, there is a strong need for very high productivity, organization productivity and HR productivity. Globally, when we have talked to enterprise HR teams, we have realized that HR budgets are actually remaining flat or probably reducing. So HR teams need to leverage technology to increase their productivity. The teams are not going to go bigger. So you got to leverage technology. Employee self-service has now become a reality because organizations are able to leverage tools such as ServiceNow or Microsoft Viva. So this way, operational tasks are being relegated to the tools to manage, whereas HR teams can then focus on strategic aspects. Number 5, there is a changing workforce demographics happening on ground. In some countries, the pandemic has resulted in a decline of the women in workforce. Companies are increasingly making business critical decisions about fair recruitment practices. The demographic shift towards an aging workforce in many economies, such as in Singapore, has its opportunities and challenges also for organizations. That's why we should be talking about trends in DEIB. We're going to be talking more about DEIB later. What does DEIB stand for and all of those? But it is important that the changing workforce demographics is understood as a market transformation driver. Number 7, data privacy. Various countries are implementing data privacy aspects. HR needs to uphold employee rights, formalize and clearly spell out these rights. As a result of GDPR or PDPA that's been implemented in Singapore, HR will need to review and update many of the current processes. So with the stakes really, really high for non-compliance, HR should actually make the right employees have the right level of access while viewing and accessing employee data. And finally, the most important aspect, 76% of remote workers, as per a survey, have accessed work files with non-protected devices. Now, can you realize what kind of exposure you are creating from a security perspective? So when you have a remote work arrangement, employees are using personal devices on home networks. So compliance along with cyber security is really proving to be very important. And this is driving a lot of key trends. So these are the 8 key transformation drivers, macroeconomic aspects that are really pushing some key trends in the HR tech sector. Now that we have seen all the 8 transformation drivers, let's look at what the key market trends that are arising in the HR tech space. Number 1, rapidly evolving organizational design. I'm sure all of those who are in the arena of OD are already seeing this. Work dynamics have actually changed. Today we have multivariate employment models, permanent, contractors, part-time, gig force, return to work professionals, silver generation or senior workers, interns, secondments, apprentices. Multivariate employment models are in existence right now in every organization. Not just that, today's workforce actually spans 5 generations with Gen Z actually at the doorstep. So when your workforce actually gets more and more dynamic and more complex, what will happen is the historic correlation between age and career progression is no longer valid. So a mid-career switcher would be an intern reporting to a new college graduate. That's the new organization that all of us need to design for. So it's all about informal building blocks, which are gaining a lot more importance over formal building blocks. Informal building blocks, when I say informal building blocks, it's like norms, commitments, mindsets, and networks. They're all gaining importance over the formal building blocks, which used to be decisions, motivators, information, and structure, as you can see on your screen. So it is very important for each one of us to understand OD is becoming really critical in the HR gameplay. Number two, there's a strong focus on change management. Business priorities will continue to focus on improving profitability, operational excellence, and executing business transformations. So this requires organizations to develop a seamless change management process to cushion employees from both external and internal jolts. Number three, global compliance management. You can now hire employees or contractors wherever they are located. You can hire talent wherever they are located, even if you don't have entities in those locations. You can have a global employment platforms do that. So adhering to global compliance with respect to payroll, taxes, visas, medical insurance, other legalities is now indispensable. So a lot of focus should be given by HR teams to global compliance management. We did talk about this earlier. There is a strong focus on DEIB. Now, we all know D&I, diversity and inclusivity. What is DEIB? Diversity, equity, inclusivity, and belonging. Now, all of us know Werner Mayer's definition of D&I, right? Diversity is actually being invited to the party, and inclusivity is being asked to dance. Now, to explain equity and belonging, we probably have to borrow what Jeff Hutchinson had actually said. Equity is actually having an accessibility ramp to the door. It's not just about inviting someone, but providing the accessibility ramp to come to the door. And belonging is to ensure they also decide the music for the party and not just being able to dance. So DEIB is very, very critical. It's not important to just focus on one aspect of diversity. You got to focus on all the four aspects. And that is where technology can really help it. So in fact, the biggest change that has come in most organizations globally is the focus on DEIB. Number five, we are seeing creator economy. We are seeing hyper personalization. We talked about consumer grade experience. On account of that, we are seeing this happening. So this trend will impact multiple HR functions, from performance management, where people are no more just consumers of targets, but they will be able to create their own KPIs. Hyper personalization. So when Spotify or Netflix can change the home screen and can provide suggestions to the user, why can't the workplace application actually be customized for the employee? That is what is called hyper personalization. So hyper personalization effectively will change how companies think about employee centricity. Number six, skills is the new currency. Now, Gartner in one of the analysis showed that companies that listed about 33% more skills on their job ads in 2020 than what they did in 2017. Imagine 33% more skills added to the job ads in just 3 years. Skills is the new currency. You got to stop hiring for a particular job. You've got to hire for the talent with relevant skills. And these skills need to be fungible enough so that those talent can be redeployed. So internal mobility, therefore, is becoming very, very critical. We're going to see how talents, intelligence platforms and internal talent mobility marketplaces are gaining traction because of this aspect of there is a lot more focus on skills right now. The next lurking pandemic, as per many, is employee mental health. Because of remote work, social isolation, medical quarantine, blurred work-life balance, all of these have placed a large amount of stress on employees. So it's not surprising that a lot of global agencies have raised serious concerns about mental health. Many surveys have talked about 33 to 50% saying that they are burnt out, which is also driving a lot of focus on the Great Resignation or the Great Reset. So employee benefits focused on employee health and wellness, more specifically on employee mental wellness, is gaining a lot of focus. In fact, in our marketplace and market map, we have moved employee mental wellness tools from benefits to employee engagement. Mental wellness support is no more a benefit. It is part of the core employee engagement. And finally, the eighth key trend is product integration and interconnectivity. So what is clearly happening is that in order to provide a seamless employee experience, a seamless candidate experience, all the tools need to integrate and they need to have a strong interconnectivity in the backend. So the tech stacks and the interconnectivity integration tools are becoming really, really important. And these 8 trends are really driving the evolution of new age tools in the HR tech space. Now, what are these trending tools? So before we move to those trending tools, I want to clarify on this aspect. What is HR tech? HR tech actually refers to any technology that is used to plan, attract, hire, onboard, deploy, engage, performance manage, communicate, develop, reward, retain, and offboard talent. Why offboarding talent is also critical is because employee alumni engagement is becoming very, very critical. So offboarding is also an important aspect. Any technology that is used across the employee life cycle to maintain or support HR admin and related systems, and all the tools and solutions that encompass web or cloud or mobile or AI based, all of that which seek to meet the above objectives are classified as HR technology. Now let's look at the trending tools. Let's start with HRMS, right? Earlier, HRMS used to be just HRIS, which was just information about the employees. Today, you have all-in-one HRMS tools, which have end-to-end features available to effectively engage and manage employees. And these end-to-end HRMS solutions are essentially being leveraged by mid to large organizations in managing their employees. Let's come to talent planning. Workforce planning or resource management used to be done on Excel sheets in many organizations. Today, a lot of it is moving to systems. You've got to analyze global data sets on the skills that your competitors are hiring for, the skills that your industry peers are hiring globally. What are the skills that your company has internally across multiple countries, and what are the skills that they need to be upskilled or reskilled into? All of this are getting managed now on platforms, because we are talking about big data sets, and it is no more possible to do some of these analysis, especially if you are a large organization with hundreds of thousands of employees spread across multiple countries and multiple different business units and functions. Internal talent marketplace are a rage for the simple reason people are providing opportunities for employees to move within the company across multiple roles to retain them. Let's come to talent acquisition. So these are some of the trending tools that we are seeing. Global employment platforms, because you could now hire talent wherever they are located. Even if you don't have an entity, the employers of record can hire talent and effectively manage them. Assessments, no more in-person assessments are a focus area. Video assessments, psychometric assessments, different forms of online assessments have come in that have completely given a run to the traditional assessments for their money. So essentially, assessments is a key tool that we are seeing emerging in the talent acquisition space. DEIB tools. As we talked about, diversity, equity, inclusivity, and belonging cannot be done without the leverage of technology. Then comes employee engagement, right? So because people are working remotely or working from home, smart performance management systems become very, very critical to help manage people based on outcomes and not just on their efforts. Employee listening tools have become very critical to gauge the pulse of the employees and sense their emotions much ahead for the HR teams to take decisions. Finally, the most important thing, companies have employee assistance program where they have a number and people can call to share their problems or their concerns. But employees do not call up to say, I'm under stress or I am having depression symptoms. They do not share that. HR teams have to use productivity data, absenteeism, presenteeism data, organizational network analysis, and a lot of other data that they essentially have, and identify individuals or teams with risk of mental health much ahead and proactively offer support. So it's no more about reactive support, it's about proactive support. It's no more about just providing online Zumba sessions or online fitness sessions, but providing more data-driven mental wellness support. Digital coaching is becoming an important tool in learning and development. Coaching is no more restricted only to the top echelons of the organization. It is now available for employees across the organization. If you look at from an operational perspective, I know during the peak pandemic period, there were HR teams in Singapore that would go around measuring the temperature, recording it, and if people had high temperature, they would be asked to go out. All of these have now been replaced with tools. Some countries have this mandate on vaccinations and boosters and subsequent vaccination management. All of these can now be done on various return to work management platforms, thereby ensuring that HR teams are not focusing just on operational aspects. These actually manage the operational aspects. HR teams have the bandwidth to focus on strategic aspects. Compensation planning should be done on platforms and systems leveraging technology tools and should not be done on Excel sheets. Millions of dollars for large organizations can be saved. Leakage can be plugged by moving to such compensation planning systems. Earned wage access, essentially, which means people can access their earned wage at any point of time rather than waiting for a salary at the end of the month. This is proved to be a real boon for many industries that are employing blue-collar workers. Talent analytics. In talent analytics, ONA is increasingly seen as a trending tool, right? It helps measure the interaction between multiple teams, interaction between multiple individuals, of people within an organization with an external organization. So a lot of insights can be derived from ONA. So this is a snapshot of various trending HR tech tools that we are seeing being leveraged across the entire employee life cycle. And finally, chatbots definitely are getting implemented across the employee life cycle, and they are becoming an integral part of most of these tools. Now, let's look at why the HR teams need to adopt technology. Number one, we have talked about it, improve candidate and workforce experience. Number two, because business scenarios, government regulations are fast changing on account of the pandemic, we in HR teams need to be agile to respond to business scenarios, and technology really helps us manage that. Number three, HR budgets are going to remain flat or shrink or continuously shrink. And we need to leverage technology to increase productivity and maximize the return on HR, return of investment on HR budgets. Number four, if HR teams need to get a seat at the decision-making table, we really need to ensure that we focus on strategic aspects and not on tactical aspects. The more we focus on strategic aspects, we are seen as a strategic business partner and get a seat at the decision-making table. So these are the four key areas where impact of technology is helping the HR teams. Now, we have done multiple surveys, and these are some of the reasons why HR teams do not adopt technology. We have identified 6 key reasons, but I want to highlight on a couple of them, right? Number one is the high perceived cost of implementation. With SaaS platforms coming in, with pricing based on number of employees, with no high capital expenditure involved, costs have actually come down. But HR teams and the business leaders are not aware of it. They perceive HR tech to be very, very costly, and a lot of teams do not implement them on account of this perception. There is the perception of a key aspect why business teams, the C-suite, the CEOs do not invest in HR tech is because the HR teams are unable to present ROI. And that's why our singular focus in the last 4 years has been to ensure how does the Singapore HR ecosystem become more data-driven and tech-savvy. The more you are data-driven, you are able to present the return on investment on HR tech in dollars and cents to finance heads and to CEOs, so that they appreciate the need for investment in HR tech. If we provide the ROI in HR terms, in terms of employee satisfaction, and not in dollars and cents, it is not going to have much impact. So we need to focus on providing strong return on investment, strong business case, and we have seen the CEOs approve HR tech investment. So these are 6 key aspects, highlighted just a couple of them. It is important for HR teams to understand that there are 9 essential future HR skills and competencies. And we need to be a master in all of these 9 aspects. These 9 skills and competencies can be broken down into 3 pillars. Number 1 is the data and tech skills. Number 2 is the business focus. Number 3 is soft skills. So traditionally, HR teams are always found to be very strong in soft skills. But again, if you look at the nature of these soft skills, it's all about storytelling. It's all about stakeholder management and design thinking. Human-centered design thinking is what is important at this point of time. So these are the 3 important soft skills. When we talk about business focus, strategic workforce planning, employee experience focused implementations, and a strong knowledge of the business domain, business acumen is very, very important. If HR teams do not have domain knowledge of the industry segment or the business, we think they are going to really suffer. So you need to have strong knowledge of the business. So that comes under the business focus. Now let's look at the data and tech skills. Number 1, we need to have analytical thinking, which is basically the ability to identify a problem, identify the root cause analysis, define the problem much better, translate them into hypotheses that can be tested with data. We call it the 8-step approach to becoming HR analytical, right? So analytical thinking is very important. Data-driven decision making. No more gut-based decision making or instinct-based decision making. It has to be data-driven decision making. Number 3, tech savviness. It is the ability to leverage technology to enhance HR service delivery, enhance the employee experience. That is tech savviness. These are 9 essential HR skills and competencies that each one of us and our teams need to have. In the interest of time, I wouldn't want to belabor on the slide, but essentially, Cognizant and Harvard Business Review came up with this 21 HR jobs of the future. I would urge all of you to look at this slide, which talks about various emerging HR jobs like algorithm, bias auditor, chatbot human facilitator, work from home facilitators, director of well-being, human machine teaming manager. All of these are new roles that are emerging. Are you and your teams ready for it? That's the question. So I would urge all of you to have a look at it. Now, let's come to the final segment. We're talking about the digital HR transformation roadmap. Now, we need to start off in a small measured manner, keep doing pilots, and then proceed ahead in our digital transformation roadmap. We start with automation. Automation is actually execution of specific tasks without any interference, without any human interference. So robotic process automations is today helping a lot of shared services teams, helping L&D teams in doing various administration processes, helping shared services teams in onboarding processes, because it helps automate a set of tasks without any intervention. Then is digitization. Then you actually move a lot of your analog to a digital format, right? What you've been doing in an offline format, you then move it completely online. It is important for you to understand that you got to relook at the processes. You should not just convert what is there in the offline format to an online format. I'll give you a classic example. We were working with a Malaysia university, and they wanted to move during the peak of the pandemic exams online completely. Now, what they did was they moved the exams online, but they came back and said that, can we do a printout of these papers, because the professors are not comfortable in doing online assessments, right? That's a challenge. So when you move from offline to online, you got to completely re-engineer the process. You got to work with employees in redefining their mindset and also train them on the skills required for the new processes. Then is digitalization. Mind you, there is a difference between digitization and digitalization. Digitalization is all about using digital to change a particular business model and use it to deliver strong value to the business function, to the HR function. For the business function, it could be generating new revenues. For the HR function, it could be delivering enhanced employee experience, enhanced productivity for the HR teams. Digitalization is all about completely relooking at the business model with a digital first mindset. Then finally, all of this is encompassed in the digital transformation, where digital is used in every aspect of the business model. That's the state when a company is truly digital first mindset. Anything that they do, they first think about it as to how it can be done in a digital technology enabled manner. Finally, I want to end my session saying that digital transformation is not just about technology, and this itself is a detailed workshop on its own. This particular slide, digital technology actually comprises digital mindset, which is all about the willingness and enthusiasm for digital adoption. You start off with the mindset, change the mindset of the employees, and then work with them in providing the respective skills and competencies for a digital environment. Now, once you have given them the necessary skills, you have to relook at the processes. As we said, when you're moving from an offline to a digital format, you got to relook at the process completely, business process re-engineering. And then comes technology, right? A lot of times HR teams have come and told us, hey, I plan to implement this product. What is your feedback? Our first response has always been, hold on, step back. What is the problem that you're trying to solve? Don't start with the solution or the product in mind. Always start with the problem that you're trying to solve. So digital transformation is not just about technology. It's the sum of mindset plus skills plus processes plus technology. If you want to access the detailed 2022 HR Tech Market Outlook report, you can scan the QR code that you see or use the bit.ly link provided. I would like to once again thank Sajad and the Talent Accelerator team for providing me with this highly privileged opportunity of interacting with senior HR leaders and practitioners like you. I really enjoyed sharing this information to you. If you want to continue the conversation, do reach out to me at sriram@hrtech.sg and we can continue the conversations. Thank you very much, Sajad. Over to you.